Jai Shinendra, does the mere thought of picking up the phone and trying to sell make you shiver in fear, like most salespeople? If you're someone who has given up on cold calling after a couple of tries, then you may think that cold calling no longer works in this age. But let me tell you, this couldn't be farther from the truth. Cold calling can still be a very, very powerful tool to close deals if you know how to do it right. That's why we have created a list of 8 cold calling tips to improve your cold calling techniques and ultimately increase your sales conversion rates. Let's get started, and then what are those 8 tips? Tip number 1, know that you're totally safe. It's important to remember that whenever you're making a call, your prospects just cannot hurt you. Sure, they may say things that I will sue you or I will report you, but and in some countries they could report you for unwanted calls. But see, the risk of facing serious consequences, such as imprisonments, are very, very unlikely as a plain crash. In my experience, I have never ever heard of someone going to a jail just because they called someone without their permission. So the risks are just very, very minimal and unlikely. Okay. So know that you're totally safe when you're making cold calls and take comfort in that fact. Okay. Don't let your apprehension or anxiety hold you back from reaching out to potential customers. Tip number 2, make it a game. You can set a specific target for the number of calls that you want to make in a day, and whenever you make a successful call, you can increment a counter that leads towards that goal. This way, you will stay motivated and focused, and what may seem like a daunting task will easily become a very, very satisfying challenge. Do try this step. Tip number 3, warm up the prospect. Do you know, as per research, most sales occur after the sixth or the seventh contact with the prospect? This means that if you could warm up a contact before making a cold call, then you'll have a very heightened chance of closing a deal. Now, let us discuss steps that you could use to warm up a prospect, okay? But before warming up a prospect, you will need their email, their LinkedIn, their Twitter, and their Facebook handles. Luckily, tools like Omkar.cloud can help you find the prospects LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and email. So if you haven't tried Omkar.cloud, do try it out. You will be easily able to get the people's LinkedIn, Twitter, email details that are very important for warming up the prospects. Now, so once you have the details of the prospects, there's several techniques that you can use to warm them up. The first is you send them an email. In the email, you send them an introductory email where you describe your services, what are its value proposition, what are problems that solve, and keep it short and brief. And after sending the email, what you can do is you connect with them on LinkedIn and start engaging with them by liking their post and commenting on them. This way, they will know about you. Then what you can do is you can start engaging with them on Twitter and Facebook by liking and commenting on their post. This way they will actually get acquainted with you and you won't really be a stranger to you, and the call will not be cold but it will be warmer in nature. Okay. So that will really heighten your chance of making a sale. Tip number 4, script the call. Salespeople may resist using script because they think by using script they'll find robotic, mechanical, and just lacking authenticity. But just consider favorite movie. Do you really think that it wasn't scripted? No, it was very tightly scripted, and yet the movie managed to captivate and entertain you. Likewise, using a script during a sales call will keep you on track on the product features and benefits, and it will really heighten the chances of closing a deal. Okay, so you can Google for an effective cold calling script to find one that suits your style and approach, and also by skipping to a script, you can keep your call concise and efficient, which will lead to making more calls and which will eventually lead to making more close deals. Tip number 5, nail your first 7 seconds. You see, the initial words that to say to the prospect will determine whether the prospect want to talk to you or he just want to cut the call. Okay, so it is very important to grab their attentions right away. So nail your first 7 seconds, sound confident in them. Okay, and that way you will have a heightened chance of talking with them. Tip number 6, start a conversation. You see, studies indicate that the more you are focused on talking about yourself, boasting about your company, its successes, and other promotional material, this likely are you to succeed in sales. Okay, because you see, people are interested in themselves, right? So you want the prospect to talk. Okay, so try starting a conversation with them. Okay, rather than just talking about your company, You want them to talk. You want them to ask questions. You want them to get interested. Okay. Tip number 7 is to call in afternoon if it is possible. You see, based on YesWay's analysis of over 25,000 sales calls, weekday afternoons have been determined as the best time to call. Specifically, the majority of calls of the 25,000 sales calls that last over 5 minutes happen on Tuesdays or the Thursdays between 3 to 5 pm. So, if you want to increase your sales closing rate and boost your confidence, it is recommended that you concentrate your efforts on cold calling during the afternoon period. Tip number 8, keep dialing. Keep in mind that cold call is actually a numbers game, meaning that out of 100 people you call, only 1 or 2 may close the deal. However, the sense of gratification that you will get after closing a deal will make all the rejection worthwhile. Now, let us summarize what you have learned in this video. You see, the cold calls are totally safe and don't be afraid to make cold calls. And also, to increase your motivation, you can set a specific goal for the number of calls you want to make and keep track of your progress by incrementing a counter after each call. This will increase your motivation. And the next step is to increase your chances of closing a deal. Try warming up the prospect by email, by LinkedIn, by tweeting with them, or by Facebook. Stay focused on a call by creating a calling script and make a very good first impression by practicing and perfecting your introduction line. Aim to have a conversation with the prospect instead of simply you talking about your company and the products. And next, increase your success by making calls during afternoons between 3 to 5 pm if it is possible. Remember that cold calling is actually a numbers game. The more calls you make, the higher the chances of closing the deals. Now, let us see what are the concrete steps that you can take to put the knowledge that you have learned into practice. First, conduct a Google search for a good calling script and customize it according to your specific needs. Next, practice your first 7 seconds until you have perfected them, you're sounding confident in them. Next, if possible, try warming up the prospect by engaging with them in email, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. This, I'm telling you, will really heighten the chance of prospect talking to you. And on the day of cold calling session, set a limit for the number of people you want to call to stay motivated. Okay, and as and when you are approaching that number, increment the counter for that. Next, use a cold calling script to make your calls. Okay, lastly, I want to iterate that prospects cannot harm you, so just keep dialing, and with persistence you will be able to close more deals. I wish you best of luck in cold calling. Thank you very much for watching this video. Dhanyavad.